Hello.
What's on, big dog?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
fucking amazing, mate. How are you?
good. Let me just get my camera sorted.
You're up, man.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Yep, you can
here
stay
he is.
there.
What's
There
happened,
I am.
dude?
Mate, just setting in for the day. I'm on daddy daycare while I work today, which is
Yeah.
a new challenge and something I'm all in for.
What's your wife working? What's she doing?
Yeah, she's working today. She's up on the Gold Coast.
Is that a new job or something she's had for a little while?
At least a month now. So you would have seen me post about the veteran games on social
Yeah,
media. She works with VSF, so Veteran Support Force with Heston and Sam.
yeah,
And
mad.
she does a lot of the admin and the logistical side of doing the veteran games, putting it
It's
together.
almost like I imagine there's a big component of like event management. Yeah,
Huge, man. It is
yeah,
monstrous. And the two of them, like Heston and Sammy, set out obviously to make this thing as big as possible, knowing that the first year is going to be like a proof of concept, wanting to
yeah.
expand following years. But when they first started and they reached out, so I'm supporting as well in a different role. But when they first reached out, I was just like, how the fuck are you two doing this by yourself?
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, again, like to be totally honest, I didn't really know much about Heston at all until sort of you started posting it. And then then I started following him and then went down that rabbit hole. So I think everything that's going on with him now is actually, it'll help the cause, I think.
I think so as well, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
just,
And end of this week, we'll have more feedback and not a different trajectory, but more certainty about what the future looks like. This has been going for over 2 years now. So for him, there's been a lot of uncertainty of how
yeah,
this is going to move forward. Even though he knew the case was going to be what it was
yeah,
going to be, it was always like, it's caused a lot of stress. So Hessen's a client of mine. So I work with
yeah,
him one-to-one,
yeah.
and
Well, that's when I found him, because when we spoke last time, you were with him in Byron. Is that right?
oh yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
like you didn't say that, but I'm fucking detective, if I'm going to be honest. So
You're
I
on
put a
it.
few I put a few pieces together and I was like, oh sweet, like I know what's happening now. Yeah, I could
Yeah.
understand it at least.
Yeah. And look, man, his body has been through some stress, not just his military service, but coming out and becoming the identity and personality that he is on the outside. Like, it's been
Yeah,
huge for him. And he's such a grounded, incredible human being. And for the most part, high performers like him don't necessarily divulge too much information of what's going on inside. And
yeah,
it's not until they get that trusted rapport when they go, oh yeah, this is fucking going on in my internal world and I need some support, you know. And
yeah,
he's an impeccable man. He puts the work in. He's fast at implementing things. The sessions that we did were profound and transformative for him. And since then, his integration has been extremely potent. We catch up once a week to do some body work and some other nervous system regulation techniques. And he always leaves clearer and more focused on what he's moving towards, you know?
yeah, yeah. I think that like it's no accident like that a man like him would end up in a high stake leadership position in what he had, right? It's really sad to think, like that he would do all that and put so much at risk in only to come home and be fucking, have paint thrown all over him. And I think too, it's like, even when another example of that is like the police force during COVID, right? It's like, whether we agreed with it or not, like these guys were ordered to do a job. And unfortunately, they're the face of it, right? So it's like, there was like a bubble after COVID, and I'm sure that they're still trying to navigate and work through it now. But it's like, why would anyone want to be a fucking police officer? Because police officers, they're tarnished. Like, I remember as kids, like everyone wanted to be a police officer. It was like the fucking social status role. It's like, you serve your community, you help save people and keep everything safe. And I think that like they were tarnished like through that, because they're the face of, I don't think like, especially looking back on it now, it was a complete fuck up, the whole thing. But unfortunately, like they had to front that. Like they were the bad guys shutting down businesses. They were the bad guys breaking up riots. They were the bad guys that said you can't do this or you can't do that. They're the messenger. And I think that's a little bit like what's happening with Heston. Like it's spiraled so far out of fucking control. There's no logic in it anymore. And like people are trying to navigate and apply logic to like these fucking certain rules or written things in books. It's complete fucking chaos. I could only imagine what that guy's going through, dude.
Dude, I remember going back through COVID. We were living in Victoria and my kids live in New South Wales. So there was regular trips from Victoria up to New South Wales to come see my kids. And for the most part at the beginning, there wasn't any exception, especially in Vico. Like it wasn't a good place to be. Like it was pretty staunch. Dean Andrews was, it was pretty yuck place to be. But I remember coming across the border many times and like there was always police on the border. And for whatever reason, we always got through unscathed. And it wasn't until we were in New South Wales where we'd be walking around. I'd go stay at my grandparents, or I'd take the family up to the grandparents on Jervis Bay, and we'd predominantly reside there. And then the kids would come and meet us there and we'd be able to see the children. And I remember 3 specific interactions with the authorities where we'd be in town, be walking around. We never wore masks. We always said that we had exemptions. Being veterans, it was a bit easier to just make that shit up and move on the go. But I remember 3 specific times where shop owners had called the cops and the cops had arrived. And like for at least 2 of the occasions, I had dreads. You know, you look at me, I've got dreadlocks. People are like, this fucker, right? Like, And every time the police came, I would lower my energy and I would engage on a personal, energetic level. And I just speak to them as normal human beings. And you could see their energy drop. You could see their demeanor drop. And they're just like, cool, man, no worries. Just grab your coffee, move on down to the beach or something, you know? And it's like, in those moments, I was like, you poor fuckers. Like, you've got a job and you've been given orders, and I see that. And I imagine the general public are fucking hammering you right now, and you definitely don't deserve this. This is not what you signed up for. But I also understand this is how you make a living. Like this is how you keep your families under house and fed, and it would have been difficult, man.
They're employees, right? Ultimately, they're just employees. They've got to do what their boss says, and unfortunately, their boss is the fucking government. And you know, like you got to think as well. So both of they're right near you. So my cousin and his wife are police officers. They were actually, one of them's left the police force with a medical exemption about 8 years ago. They both reside in Ballina, which is near you. And legend of a guy, his wife as well, was a constable in all sorts of different stations, Byron Bay, Ballina, et cetera, in Mudgee, rural as well. And they were a part of the Cronulla riots back when like that happened, right? It's like that riot squad, there was about fucking 10 people. Like that's how big the riot squad was.
Yeah.
And like 10 people taking on, like, you know, trying to dissolve that emotion and that sort of that craziness back then. That dramatically sort of fucked him up. You know, and there was not really any support thereafter. And, you know, he tried to get back in, and it was just like, ultimately these guys are employees, and you know, their values might not lie there, but they got to do what they're told. Oh, so that was the point I was going to make. They're fucking doing all this, man, for fucking 70 grand a year. You know, it's like they put their blues on, which they should be proud of. And the society says like it's a high status job. And then they get paid 70 grand a year to do shift work, to interact with fucking drug dealers and drug addicts and people that I imagine it's a very toxic environment to try to be around, you know, like you and I are both very conscious of our environment and the conversations that we have with the people that we have them in that environment. Dude, you don't get to decide. You're the one going in, you're sourcing out and seeking that environment to try to stabilize it. It'd be fucking exhausting, dude.
Are they still in Ballina, your cousins?
Yeah.
One of them's still in and one of them's out.
Yeah.
Hook us up. Let me know if I can support in any way, because I know I've done a lot of work with emergency services and veterans, and there's not a great deal of support, as you'd be aware. And so if I can support in any way, whether it's in trauma healing or anything like that, let me know.
Yeah, I will, man, for sure. Because one of them is on the trying to get out now as well. After they got 3 boys, and even my cousin as well. Like, I think that there's an element of like family history, but like he struggled with alcohol. I think he still struggles with alcohol a little bit, to be honest. But like I've been open and honest with like we both had very similar alcohol relationships with alcohol. So my mum that died is his mum. Like my mum that died and his mum are sisters. So like we're like blood cousins. So there's a really strong connection and a great guy. I'll intro you. And he's not as probably open as what I am, but I think you could add a huge amount of value to his life, because that's the thing as well. Like you come across that identity thing. Like these guys love they love being police officers, right? And then and in the police force, I think from the outside looking in, were kind of helpful in the way that like he would do like sort of 2-hour shifts. Like he'd go, I remember staying there, he was working at Byron Bay Police Station, then he'd go do a 2-hour shift and then leave. So like even that is like, you're kind of the fucking naughty kid at school, that they're trying to reintroduce to the classroom. So everyone looks at you like that. It's like, oh, and again, there was a lot of stigma around when there was compensation to exit, right? If you exited, during like with a medical exemption or something traumatic happened, typically you would get like a quite meaningful payout and then they'd move you on. So there was a lot of people, taking advantage of that in a negative way. Maybe they did need that and deserve that, but others are like, fuck it, I'm going to get, good money to fucking make this thing up. Someone shot at me and now my whole life's ruined. Or I'm not trying to downplay that at all, but there was, where there's money, people, look for loopholes to try to get it if they can get it easy. And then, so I think they helped him in a way to sort of exit into real life. But he's done his building certificate and he's a carpenter builder. But I think he's struggling with that identity to try to find out who he is, because being a tradesman's hard work. Trying to lead teams is hard work, especially coming from like I was a police officer and like I was had that social status. So yeah, I'll intro you guys and see if something happens. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, the identity shift's huge for a lot of people. Like even, veterans for sure, emergency services for sure. But what human beings struggle with is that huge transformation of being someone, then not being someone, then becoming someone else, and then not having the tools or protocols to be able to support that transformation happening. As a parent, man, like, that you go through that shift. Mums go through the biggest identity shift out there, and there's a lot that comes with that. And that's where like postnatal depression and these types of medical ailments come from, is not, yes, there's something chemically going on in our physiology and our psychology, absolutely. But with the correct framework, the correct support, and the correct connection, that chemical reaction can be regulated and supported through that process, so that we're not met with this dissonance of having to fight this like inner demon of who am I beyond this uniform, beyond this identity, beyond this hat. I speak to a lot of mums now. They're like, I have no fucking idea who I am anymore. I just feel like I'm a mum. I just feel like I'm being sucked on all day, every day, just, and so that identity shift is massive. And I've noticed in the healing space, specifically with trauma, it's identity. Like it is identity. And whether that's inner child, whether that's acute trauma, birth trauma, identity trauma, it's all identity.
Yeah. That it's interesting that you mentioned like the mom and that postnatal depression side, right? And I think it's like even more problematic right now because of, like there's a lot of, social media is still so new, right? Like even like use Instagram as an example, like it's so new, like it's about 10 years old. It's fuck all, dude. And the thing is, like, so when Instagram sort of come out, we were sort of, mid-20s, okay, or sort of early to mid-20s. So like if you look at that like a foundation user, we've got people now maturing with that. So now, like, so when we first started Instagram, there was no mums on there was no dads on there was no like them fitness people or them people with large followings, but now there is. And it's like these women have large followings before family, and then they have their family and everyone watches their family grow. And there's a thing, right, like that very beautiful woman that has a kid or has 2 kids and still looks incredible, and she puts photos up of activewear, which tells me that she exercises and she's got a beautiful house. It's like it just creates this false sense of security of like what motherhood is like.
Yeah.
And it's like we know that it's not like that behind closed doors, but a new mum doesn't. A new
Yeah.
mum doesn't think that, like, and then they're like, fuck, like I'm not that person, like I'm a failure, I'm a fucking terrible mum, I'm a terrible person, because they don't have energy to go and train, or they don't look like that, or their kid didn't sleep through last night, or their kid, didn't eat like that chick, the chick's kids eat. And like there's so much that fucking plays in their mind, especially when they could be stuck in a small town with not much support, or like no one to turn to or talk to. Maybe their husband's a fucking moron. Like there's so much in there that makes these guys feel horrendous about themselves. It's like what should be a very beautiful time in their life is overshadowed by like the like a misconception of like what we should be doing, or what motherhood is like, because it's not real, right? Like there's some people I think that do it really well, but for the most part, especially if you find yourself in that niche following, for whether it be fitness or whether it be fashion or whatever it is, it's really hard to then swing that identity and start, posting real life mum stuff. There's a lot of people that post real life mum stuff that are amazing, but there's also a lot that don't as well. It's tricky, man.
And I mean, they're called influencers for a reason, right?
Yeah,
And they're predominantly working off this concept of nudging, right? Like in marketing or sales, nudging is the practice of nudging or moving someone towards the sale or towards the product or the service by influencing them in a specific way. And social media, as you just said, people influence. It's either like, this is what my life really looks like, but behind closed doors, it actually doesn't. Or you go to the other end of the scale, which personally, in my opinion, I believe can be just as dangerous, is you have influencers who are promoting this, this is what life really looks like, but they're nudging in the direction of, and this is super controversial, but like, it's okay to be fat. It's okay to love your body. But they're sending the wrong message with the wrong energy. Yes, it is important that you love your body and the body that you're in, but it's also important that we have one body, and it's important that we're healthy for us, for our children, for our families. And the way that we influence people to love their bodies isn't to shame anybody, but more promote a healthy lifestyle. And as you said, there are people out there who do it really, really well, and they've found that niche. What I'm seeing, unfortunately, is that those people are successful in their own way, but most of the sheeple out there aren't wanting to follow that because it doesn't give them that instant dopamine fix of, here's a quick pill that you can take and it'll transform your life immediately. And so there's a lot of work there, and it's quite a dangerous concept to play with, nudging, if you're influencing either end of the scale. Finding that middle ground, which I'm experiencing challenges at the moment, finding that middle ground is the most difficult, because more often than not, you're going to offend people in that middle ground. And then that also influences you to question what you're putting out there or how you're showing up in the world. And I just watched a video about 15 minutes ago. This Asian fella, get his name. He's a phenomenal language specialist. So he communicates and he talks
like
about
in
language.
different languages, or what is it like?
No, like as in how we communicate the English language, or just words in general, how we utilize language as a way to effectively navigate our society. And he was saying how, if you authentically show up and speak your truth, you will attract those people that resonate with you. You're going to offend a lot of people, and that's okay. Because if you retreat back to that space of, oh no, I offended somebody, and then come back to that space of being like, oh, I must have to do it a different way, now you're operating out of alignment and being someone that you're absolutely not. And this is where social media has been divided in. People are operating from a place where they think they're being the person, and this is an absolute projection, but happy to go there. People think they're being this authentic person, but behind closed doors, they're absolutely not. I got a buddy in the States whose video went viral. You may have even seen it. He's a really good friend of mine, and he runs a course called The Captain's Lifestyle, where he guides men. That's his niche market, is men, and he's a holistic lifestyle specialist. He walks around without a shirt, no shoes. He eats raw meat. He fucking gets naked in Venice Beach Park. Like he's out there and he's an incredible dude. And his video that he put up was him with a couple of buddies, no shirt, grounding in a body of water. And he's talking about how the most healthiest thing you can do as a human is to be in nature, grounding to the planet, full spectrum of UV light on the body, no sunscreen, no sunglasses. And he was saying, this is independence, this is freedom. And it went viral. Like there are so many people sharing and chopping and changing, just like, look at this fucking idiot. Look at this dickhead. He's telling you not to wear sunscreen. That's bullshit because of skincare. It's all of these things. It's like, no, there's a lot more underneath that you need to look at. Like it's not skin cancer and these things exist because of the foods that we're fed from the supermarket or the medicines that you're taking from the pharmacy, you know, like there's a lot more underneath. But him being authentically expressed as who he is, people fucking resonate with him. And he's a phenomenal dude. He's super smart and he knows what he's doing. Like he's not a dick. But the point I'm getting at here is that's who he is. Like he's if you spend time with him, just like 10 minutes, you're like, oh, you're actually this dude. And he's a fucking sweetheart, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting because like there is a trap, especially when you have a really small following, right? Like a lot of your following might be like people that like they interact with daily or you went to school with. It's like, you know what will get engagement if you post this thing, right? It's like, if I post a picture of my kids doing something sweet, it'll get engagement. People will like it. And it's like the trap is that you think that that's what your audience wants. So you just keep on putting that out, right? And it might not be what you want or where your values lie. It's like, when you put something out that is really close to your heart or speaks to your values, it gets no engagement. So it's very easy to go, righto, I do less of this and do more of that because that's what these guys want. But where the trap is if your audience is 1,000 people that you don't want to be like, or that don't make you better, then it's not helpful to sort of just do what they want all the time and just serve them, because you're just overshadowing yourself. It's like I put up something the other day around like basically like pushing my daughter, right? It's like, I want my daughter to be this, and I think that I have a high expectation of her to achieve, and I think that my high expectation is going to bring out the best in her. And then and a lot of people won't resonate with that because they're like, no, that's not true. You need to support, you need to nurture, you need to be there if they get upset. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But also she doesn't know what she's capable of. So I'm going to fucking push her because I know that she can do more. And I don't think that that's a negative thing. But I think that people they won't resonate with that because it makes them almost feel bad for not doing that. And similar to like that, the fat shaming or the fat, what's the opposite of that? It's called something like like people that are big and they're like, hey, be proud. It's like, yeah, cool.
Body positivity.
Yeah. So it's like these guys, sometimes it's easier if you find yourself big or overweight, it's very easy to align your values with the person that sort of preaches who you already are, as opposed to doing the work and you know, putting yourself through that discomfort to be someone, you know, a healthier version of you. And I think that a lot of the times people will just stay in their lane. If they find this is who I am, this is easy here, it's comfortable here, I know what tomorrow looks like, I know what the next day looks like, I'm safe. And they just stay in that lane, as opposed to someone challenging it all the time. Because there's something, and I talk to my kids about this, I talk to my wife about it all the time, right? It's like, I wouldn't expect anyone, it's actually like, I wouldn't expect anyone to understand or rationalize my goals or expectations of myself. And if they do, I'm fucking playing way too safe, because everyone around me, like that I can touch and feel in my circle right now, are mostly average people. So like, if I say something to you, I don't want it to make sense to you. I want it to be so fucking crazy that you're like, this dude's completely fucking lost his mind. Like, how will you ever achieve that? Or how would you ever build that? It's like, I know that I'm on the right path if all you guys don't resonate with it. So I think that's the same as social media. I know that I'm on the right path if I can continue just fucking posting who I am and what I do and my thoughts and my feelings, and it gets no engagement, because someone will fucking pick it up, you know, and then they'll carry it. And then I'll just build an audience of people that will, yes, like, I don't necessarily just need everyone to fucking agree with me, but I like people that will share my values or challenge them as well. Like if I share something with you and you're like, yeah, but what about this dude? And you're like, you know what? Like I've never actually really thought about it like that. Like, that actually makes a lot of sense. And then we can go back and forth and debate, you know, my ideology against your ideology in a really respectful way, because I value you as a person. It's similar to what we were talking about a few weeks back with the vegan and the carnivore, right? It's like,
and psychedelics as well.
And psychedelics, yeah. I respect you so much that I'm also open and conscious that if you bring new information to me, then I will dissect it and work through it, and you can help me explain it and help me understand it. And I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that fucking makes perfect sense. Like I learned something, and now I will change that opinion, and going forward, we'll think of this new thing. And I think that's fucking incredibly powerful when you can sort of build an environment around you that not just people that'll cheer you on, but they'll challenge some stuff, right? Like they're like, hey, dude, like that's cool. Like I'd love to understand your thought process behind that, because this is mine. And then we debate that in a really respectful and loving way. It's growth.
It is absolutely growth, and having those people around is what influences the continuation of growth as well. You know, there's people that challenge, and I really love that. And the future I see, because I mean, you've found a lot of success, which is still growing in a professional sense, and that has nothing to do with Instagram or social media at all.
Yeah.
And so what I see in the future is this successful billionaire ultimate dad whose social media just still is the same as the first day he started, him dominating life in his personal life. And the other success has not come from you being on social media. It's come from different areas, which is really, really cool, because I mean, social media as a tool is part of a success plan, so to speak, when it comes to business. At least it is for me right now, and has been over the last couple of years. But in the future, it's amazing to see that won't shift, because for you, you are who you are. Like you're still going to be doing your rows, you're still going to be doing your cold showers, and that's who you are, you know. So it's exciting to think about.
And that makes like a lot of like, that is everything that happens externally is a byproduct of that foundation. It's a byproduct of me starting my day in discomfort. It's a byproduct of watching a sunrise, like all these things. But people won't identify that because it's too simple. They're like, it doesn't make sense that you're a fucking billionaire and you have all these companies because you have cold showers. It's like, yeah, it's because I've done it. It's not because of the action. It's because of the environment that I put myself in to be able to do that every day, and the thought that I had. It's like sometimes when you get up early and you do something that, well, even when you're sitting on a beach watching the sunrise, you think about things that would not have ever entered your mind if you're asleep in bed. You know, and that one thing can change the direction of your day or change the direction of your entire fucking life. But if you never sat there, you can never get that information. And that's the powerful part of it, right? It's about putting yourself in a position to be able to receive and process that internal content of who you are and where your values lie.
It happened to me this morning, man. I was sitting out here, so I've got this porch out the back now, and it like directly looks at where the sun's coming up. So I didn't get to the beach this morning because Cass was leaving early, but I sat out there and I went through about 15 minutes to 20 minutes of breath work, and I'm sitting there, and all these thoughts just come flooding in, and I kept coming back to saying, "No, I'm here, I'm present with my body, what's going on?" And all these thoughts kept coming in. This one thought kept coming in. I've been going through this fucking Guinness World Record application thing since I finished, right? It's nearly been a year. And like, it's pretty meticulous. If you don't supply the data the way that they want to, like, it's pretty savage to go through it. And I'm sitting there, and that thought kept coming in. And so I put it back in my schedule for today. All right, follow this up, make sure you hit these KPIs and move on. But as I'm sitting there thinking about that, I'm already starting to think about next year. And I'm thinking about the run next year, and I'm thinking about training, and then I'm thinking about the energy that's bringing, and then I'm thinking about how creative I am in the documentary, and then I'm thinking about how I'm going to do this run. And like, all of this energy just started to build. And I was like, okay, I'll just stay with this one thought about this Guinness World Record application that I have to work with to finish off. And all of a sudden I was just like, boom, oh, I'm dominating today. I am dominating today, you know. But as you just said, had I not been out there and been in that moment, I wouldn't have got that in bed. You know, I
Correct.
wouldn't have got that by walking around the house, going through the motions, whatever it is. I sat there, and that was uncomfortable for me because I like to be in meditation breath, like just completely
Yeah.
empty. So to be in that moment was uncomfortable. But you're absolutely right. Like it's that moment of the day that people won't connect the dots until they connect the dots. And it's like, you look at when Joe Rogan first started talking about DMT, all of a
Yeah.
sudden psychedelics became big. Yeah, then he started
Yeah.
talking about moving to Austin. Everybody moved to Austin. Then you
Yeah.
got Andrew Huberman
Float
coming out, his
tanks. You got float tanks. You got
cold plungers,
everything, bro. Yeah.
saunas. Rhonda, I forget her last name.
Patrick.
Rhonda Patrick, she's on there. She's talking with Andrew Huberman, and they're all talking
Yeah.
about these things. And now the whole fucking planet's just like, oh, did you know if you do breathwork, ice baths, and saunas that you can fucking optimize your day? And it's like, no shit, we've been fucking doing it for years, you know. But
Yeah.
it's that one moment that someone says something and someone connects the dots, and then it's just like this flow-on effect, which is good because it's a positive benefit and investment to your life. But it's not like us doing this now. Like it might be 5 or 10 years when someone goes, I watched Courtney do this in 2022, 2023, where he got up every single fucking day and rode a half marathon.
Yeah.
And now it makes sense. And I hope that one person that works that out messages you and goes, motherfucker, it's been a decade, but thank you. I just
100%
worked it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And because there's so many people that are watching from afar that just won't engage, right? They're like, whether they don't feel like they want to, or they don't feel like they're in a position to, but there's so many people that are watching. And there's also that people that want you to win, and also people that are sort of secretly wanting you to fucking fail, right? Because it's like when you start being really vocal about what you're trying to do or what you're trying to build, it puts you in a very vulnerable state of failing. And I'll share this book with you, dude, because I think it's really powerful for your 2 older girls. It's a book. My wife actually stumbled upon it. It's a book. It's a book about mindset for young athletes, you know, like to help them, give them an edge. And there's 2 parts of the book. So there's a book for parents to help give you some tools to help, you know, lead and mentor your child to you know, succeed in like a high level of athletics. And then there's a book for the kids, so for primary school and like middle school age kids, and talks about all the shit that you and I would communicate to our children, but it comes from a third person, right? This is like, I could sit down with your girls and talk about like mindset, and talk about like your environment and how important it is to not be influenced by negative people. And that might get cut through. But if you do it, might not get cut through. If I sit down with my kids, they're like, fuck dad, you say the same shit all the time. It means nothing to me. But if you sat down with my kids, it's like, wow, this other guy, he's saying the similar things to dad, you know, like, and it comes from a different place. It's like that Uncle Arnie. It's like, like people need to be told by third parties. So I actually listened to half the book this morning, and it was incredible. Like it's all the things that you and I know now, but it comes from a different place. It's delivered in a different vehicle, which I think will get a huge cut through for young ears. And I'm excited to expose my daughter to that, because like it talks about the importance of your environment. It's like, and again, it's like if you have 9 broke friends, like you're going to be the 10th broke friend. Like it's just what it is, right? And I've got these, and after listening to that book, I'm actually going to change one of these, but I've got these like affirmations. I've got these wall stickers made up, and there's affirmations throughout my house. And it's like, one of them in my daughter's room now, because my daughter's going to Germany. Well, we're all going to Germany in 6 weeks. She's competing for Australia in tap dancing, right? And it's like I've got this big wall sticker, and it's like, and it says, with action and effort, we can do all things. I'm the best tap dancer in the world, right? In a fucking bedroom.
Hell
it's like, it's an affirmation. And then there's other ones. It's like just random things that mean something to me, but I just want to subconsciously just fucking deliver to these kids. And it's like, be mindful not to have a small mindset living in a small town, you know. And there's one that like just heaps of different things like that, right? But there's one that I'm going to change. One of them was, we don't say I can't. And what I learned from that book is like, don't focus on the things that we don't do or we can't do. Focus on, you know, on the opposite of that. So
affirmations, negations versus affirmations.
So I've got to change that, right? So instead of saying we don't say I can't, we simplify it, and I just say we can. We can. We can. So these wall stickers are only new. Like I haven't had these up for very long, so I'm interested to. And as parents, it's our job. It's our job to influence and guide our children through fucking life. So
Absolutely.
and again, it's not normal. Like it's not normal for parents to have affirmations fucking scattered throughout their house. But that's good because I'm not a fucking normal person. So it makes sense that
You
I
and me
don't have a
both.
fucking. So how gangster is that, right? Like I want it to be weird that my in-laws come over and they see all these affirmations. Like, what the fuck's this? So small mindset. Like, who do you think you are? Like, like what? How come you do it? Like, best tap dancer in the world. Like, isn't that setting her up to fail? So like, yeah, like if we're striving for that, like that's amazing. If she falls short of that and ends up the fucking second best, the third best, the 20th best, it's an amazing achievement. So it's
Absolutely.
like by putting ourselves out there, putting ourselves at risk is only setting us up for success. Like we're putting ourselves in a position to be able to fail because people won't even do that, right? They're like, hey, that's scary. I don't want to fail. Therefore, I fucking don't attempt it. As opposed to like, fuck it. Let's send it. I'll fucking shoot that. I'll shoot that fucking 3-pointer to win the game. Putting yourself in a position to fail. But it's a really, really powerful book, and I'm excited to expose her to that, just to help sharpen her sword. This guy played professional NBA. He sort of helped coach Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. So even they're talking about like even as like a lot of these guys have now got kids playing in the NBA or coming up through the baseball league, the MLBs and stuff like that. And it's like, have you seen King Richard, the movie?
Yeah.
Serena. Yeah, fucking gangster movie, right? So
amazing movie.
So like just a lot of stories like that, yeah. So I'll share that book after. I actually put in the show notes of this as well because I forget what it's called and I don't want to go into my phone to look at it. But yeah, really powerful book.
Send me those books. Send me the where you got the stickers made as well. I'm going to do that as well.
Yeah,
I got
easy peasy.
So about 3 years ago, I started working with, and they're now like all super good friends and close homies.
Can I pause you for 1 sec because I don't want to forget it? But there's something that you done that I do now, and I wanted to thank you for. So how you spoke to me about when we eat a meal and the kids ask to be excused. Yeah, we do that now.
Yes.
We do that now. And you know what's fucking gangster? So my 2-year-old, and I'll try to get a video of this. My 2-year-old, like he can say some words, like I can understand him, but you probably wouldn't. But he just mumbles like the tone of it. My mom is views and like the tones and that. Like, it's like super cute. So, like the other kids do it now. And it's one of the interesting parts is like the most fucking rebellion child. He's 4.
We've all got one.
Yeah, 4 is 4. Odie. He's the one that always does it. Like he's the one that does it straight away. He'll pick the other kids up. He's like, hey, Koa, you didn't ask to be excused. Like he sort of polices it and takes ownership of it. So I just wanted to thank you for that. But it's good to.
You're most welcome, brother. Yeah. Look, food, especially since I've learned as an adult, like being intentional with the way that we consume food has been massive shift for our family. My daughters don't do this at their other house, but when they come here, there's a lot of discipline around eating. Like I bless my food before I even eat it, because to me, whether it's been sourced ethically or it's organic, I just want whatever's on my plate that's about to go inside of my body and allow me to operate. I want it to be full of good energy. So I'll spend about, a minute just blessing my food. I say like a little affirmation / prayer blessing type thing, hold my hands over it. And I just send some good vibes into the food. It's pretty weird for some people. But my kids started doing it now because they're just like, oh, what's daddy doing? And Cass is like, oh, he's blessing his food. And so they do that. And then when we eat, I've got some table rules, like, we chew with our mouth closed. We keep our plates closed. We, if we want to talk, we finish our food.
Sit up,
we don't just
sit up straight.
Sit up.
Fucking slump. Yeah.
It's about connecting as a family and a tribe and connecting to the food, and we're all practicing that. And then yes, it's the can I please leave the table when they're finished? And always, whoever prepared the dinner, it's not thank you for dinner. It's like, hey, thank you for cooking dinner. And so now
Yeah.
Bill and Willow are starting to go through that. Daddy, thank you for dinner. May I please leave the table? And it's like a nice, and then they take their plates to the sink, they scrape their food off. It's just nice routine that's setting them up, because that habit will develop into something else, which is
correct.
Similar to what I posted this morning with the chair and the blanket. Like, there's two types of people. There's the person that just throws the blanket back on the chair, walks away, and is like, oh, I've got to go back here, I've got to go here. Or there's the person that folds, puts it there, and it's like, it might be small, but it's not. It's massive, and it has flow and effect. And that's what I'm trying to develop in my children. The second thing, which I was gonna speak about, is language. So I'd been working with them for about a year, about 3 years ago, and then being part of the community, you just develop as one big tribe. It's called Enlifted, and it's run by a man called Mark England. He's a language ninja, and if you haven't read his stuff or looked into him, have a look. Anyway, they talk about affirmations versus negations, and then those two components are broken down into two types of language: architectural language and soft language. Soft language would be something like, hey, Courtney, in about a month, we should maybe catch up. There's a lot of ambiguity there. It's like, oh, we should maybe catch up. And you're sitting there just like, well, fucking, should we? Shouldn't we? Like, you know,
do you want to? Like,
do you want to? Yeah. Like, it's really soft, and it gives too much space for confusion, intention not to be met. But architectural language is, hey, Courtney, in a month's time, I've got some space. Let's catch up. And then instantly you're like, check the schedule. This is, you know, and so it's actionable, it's affirmative, it's not negating. And so it's been a really potent tool to use with my children. And that triggered when you said, I can't, it's I can. And removing soft language from our kids' vocabulary has given them permission to see things in a more positive light. Like this morning, this is another example. We've got a Koa, it's Makoa, but we call it Koa. Koa goes to me. She just earned this. She's, what captain is she? She's some type of captain in her class. So she wears this badge. And she's like, hey, Dad, I have to wear this badge today. And I could see she was really proud and like stoked for it. And I'm like, hey, Koa, you get to wear that badge today. And she's like, Dad, I get to wear this badge today. And then instantly she's like owning the badge. And it's not a possessive thing. It's I'm proud of who I am. I'm safe in my body. I am who I am. This is what I'm doing. And so bringing that, and we start low level because kids, obviously vocabulary and understanding of language is quite lower, but it's been really powerful towards how they view themselves. It's been very positive towards my eldest, who's getting into rep football, like soccer. She's obsessed with the Matildas. She's been to 2 games now. But it's been really positive for her. It's come from, and I put an example of her as a case study in the 6-week course that I'm doing online, but she went from being bullied at school, super emotional, like out of control emotional, like not knowing what her emotions are causing, feeling isolated, shut off, like all the things. And then when we started this, it was a part of her healing journey of healing trauma, the trauma of her and her mother and I separating, it caused trauma psychologically. When we started this journey and started to introduce these little things, this is like today, she's like, Dad, I've got rep trials tonight and I'm going to go dominate and I'm going to play like Sam Kerr and I'm going to do this and that. And it's just like, this ain't the same girl that I was speaking to 2 years ago, you know? So, you know, the investment we put into our children, who cares if it's fucking weird? Like we are sending these humans into the world as a representation of who we are, who they are. This is where it starts. Under their house, doing what we do.
And I think that's what when you talk about weird, it's like, that's what we want. That I actually want that. Like, I want people to look down on it. I want people to challenge it. I want people to whisper behind our back, because it makes sense. It means that we're on the right path. If our goal is, again, I'm not trying to be like you. So why would I? So it makes sense that I'm not doing the things like the other parents. It's the same as the food. It's like, it might be odd to bless your food, right? Like in Australia, it's not typically what we do, right? So it's strange, it's not normal. But again, that's fucking good, because I'm not trying to be normal. I don't want it to be normal. So it's cool. Like anyone that can really fucking double down on that and say, look, this is fucking, it might be weird to you, this is completely normal for me. I think it's healthy that we can raise kids through that. even bringing structure in the dinner table, like you mentioned. It's like, even for me, it's like we have a list of things, like there's about 12 things that my kids do before they leave for school, right? So they start school at 8 o'clock. And it's like, if these things aren't done by 7:15 in the morning, the after school activities are going to get fucking scrapped. You go straight home into your room. That's it. Like, this is what you need to do. These are your tasks. I'm not going to remind you. Okay. And at the start, because we were finding ourselves like, hey, don't do this, don't do that. Righto, you brush your teeth, go get dressed. Okay, you've got dressed, put your socks on. It's like I'm running around like micromanaging these children. Like, they're old enough to sort of understand these are the tasks that we need to do. I'm responsible to have these complete. If I don't, this is a consequence. And it's like, I don't care if I'm taking my whole family to Germany for dancing. If you don't do that, you're not going to dancing this afternoon. If that means that you don't fucking win, all good, because we're going to build structure in your life that'll help you going forward. And it's like, it's a really unique thing. A part of that list is to make your bed. And
Love that.
The kids jump up, my Koa especially, my eldest son, man, I'll send you a picture of this bed. It is fucking, there's not a single crease out of line. It's a military, it's fucking amazing, dude. He takes so much pride in it. Like, he'll get up in the morning, jump straight out into his bed. Like, his bed's made at 6:30 every morning. Like, I was like, dude, I'll get him back sometimes to say, hey, Koa, like, are you proud of this? Like, are you proud of this bed? He's like, 1 second, Dad. And you'll fucking get under there and just tuck the last little fucking thing up there. And it's magical, right? Like, we have a cleaner that comes to our house and they're like, who made that bed? It's like, Koa. They're like, can I take a photo of it? Like, this is
yes.
a 7-year-old boy making his bed, like, amazing. And again, like, he's so proud of that. Like, I walk past and I look at him and his face lights up. Like, he takes, there's so much pride in him, having structure. It's like, to be able, like, that's going to pay dividends when he does the next, whatever, for the rest of his life. It's creating a really positive habit. My daughter, not so much. She's like, fuck it, pulls the sheets back. I'm like, hey, let's go for a walk. Have a look at Koa's bed. Is yours the same as that? Because that's the standard right now. She's like, oh no, give me a second, Dad. Bang, bang, bang. I was like, that looks amazing. So it's like, be like giving your kids responsibilities without having to remind them all the time and nag them. Because then again, it's like, when we're nagging, no parents want to be naggy. Like, that, we don't want to do that, right?
Nah.
So it's like, this is what we need to do. You've got plenty of time to be able to do that. Everyone understands, you pack your bag, you do this, you do that. And this is a consequence if you don't. And then it's up to you to manage your time thereafter. So it's been a big shift since we've done that. And yeah, it's not us having to manage or police these guys. It's like, yeah, this is the tasks. Do that inside that time frame, and everyone's happy.
Delegation is important, man. Like, it's absolutely important in the household, especially as I talked about this between for dads that are struggling with the professional and personal life, is you need to delegate. It's not an asshole thing. It's an inclusive, collaborative project that you get to work on as a tribe and as a family. And if you take this, and we take our families right now, we're not in the modern world, we're back in caveman days. Everybody has a role to play. For the tribe to survive, everybody has a role to play. You go back to primitive tribes, even now, everybody has a role to play. Even the kids, they go out, they hunt, they gather, they get taught all the processes. In 40 years time, man, 30 years time, when our children are standing at the success and globally recognized for whatever they're doing, they're going to stand there in front of a group of people and go, you know what fucking set me apart? When I was 7 years old, my dad taught me how to make my bed, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's what it's going to be.
There's a level of self-accountability, and this is something that adults, including myself, struggle with at times, right? It's like being accountable for the tasks that you need to do every day. And it's like that Guinness World Record submission is a perfect example, because if you don't submit that, it means nothing to me. It means nothing to the next person. It doesn't change my day if you don't submit that, right? And it's like, so I'm not going to hold you accountable for that, because it doesn't change it has no response to me. But for you, it's like, right, I'm accountable for this. I've already done the fucking hardest part. The hardest part's done. Now I've got to submit it. So there's like a level of self-accountability that you need to have to yourself to get that task done. And then when we finally tick that off, it's like, fuck yeah, that's done. And it's done. And this is a cool thing. It's like writing a book. Like, you don't write a book, publish it and sell it, and then add to it. The book's done. Your values might change thereafter. So it's like, you get this submission in. That was amazing. I learned so much. I'm a different person because of it. and then you can start planning and working on that next thing.
Yeah.
And I think that is, dude, it's something that I struggle with, because I know the things that I need to do each day, and sometimes I steer away and avoid them things because it's not a strength, or it's an admin thing that I fucking struggle at, or I don't really know what that means, or I don't know where to find that number, or submit this BAS, or do so it just gets pushed aside. But the thing is, and what I learned in businesses and in life is, there's tasks that if you don't do, they will not get done. And as an employee, you don't really learn that, because if you don't do it, someone else will, or the manager will delegate it somewhere else, or that they'll do it themselves, or something happens, right? Visibly, it just gets done. But yeah, when you're at the front of the ship, if you don't do it, then it's not going to get done, or you don't delegate it, then it's not going to get done. And I think that can be a crumbling feeling, when that's when people feel like they've got a lot of pressure on themselves, but just when they push away until it's impossible to ignore, and they just fucking swamp themselves with pressure. So it's self-accountability, I think, that I'm learning now, is like a fucking superpower. If you can hold yourself accountable for the things that you need to do, you are untouchable. Okay. Because it's great if we can find ourselves in an environment that other people will hold us accountable for. And some of them things might be a bit challenging too, right? You're like, fuck, I might hold you accountable for something. Say, hey, dude, we're fucking talking about this thing all the time. You spoke to me 3 weeks ago about this submission and how it made you feel good, but you still haven't fucking done it, bro. What are you doing? Does it mean anything to you or not? And again, I feel like I could say that to you, and you'd be like, fuck, you're right, dude.
Absolutely.
But there's also then people that would say that you're like, I don't really respect your thoughts or feelings. But yeah, being able to hold yourself accountable, or find yourself in an environment that people will hold you accountable, is it's fucking unexplainable how powerful that is.
Absolutely. I like to think of it. Have we spoken about energy tokens before?
Never.
Okay. So Paul Check taught me this. Each day you have 100 energy tokens. He taught me about the tokens, and then I furthermore created it into something else. You have 100 energy tokens. Each token you get to spend on whatever you're going to achieve throughout the day. It's a currency. Yeah. Okay. From there, I ask people, you've got 100 energy tokens. How many browsers do you have open right now? And they say, oh, okay, this task, I've got to get this done. Okay, now you get to spend your energy tokens before you even start your day. You've got to spend your energy tokens on those tasks right now, even though they haven't been achieved. You have to invest to those tasks, those browsers. By the time you finish going through all the open loops, is what I call them, or cycles, by the time you finish going through those loops, you maybe have 20 energy tokens left, and you've still got a whole day ahead of you.
Yeah.
You get to run, you get to train, you get to eat, you get to do stuff that really lights you up. You get to move forward in your business, but you can only do those things on 20 tokens.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I say to people, okay, do you want to spend more on the things that light you up? Yes. Close the fucking browsers, close the loops. And I've got to remind myself of this, because okay, there are some tasks that are ongoing. We're in the investment cycle right now for our project. It's ongoing. It's not like a boom. I wish it was. It's just like a boom. It's done. It's not. It's ongoing. So it's a task that's open, but I invest energy into that every day because it requires that investment. But I also know that investment has a solid ROI down the track, where some of these loops and browsers that we have open don't have an ROI. They're there because we're procrastinating, and procrastination is going to fucking burn us out. And most people, this will show up in their life when they say, I am riddled with stress right now and I don't know what it is. I was like, okay, let's go back to the tokens. Let's go back to the browsers. What's happening?
Yeah. Where are you spending them?
Where are you spending them? Let's close some browsers down. And it's just as simple as going back to the window and going, okay, I've got that browser open. Why do I have that open? I can't even remember why I have that open. Close it off.
Yeah.
Oh, all of a sudden I feel fucking better. And it's an energetic thing. We are working with energy every single day. Energy is the tokens. You're spending your energy on these things. Be very diligent and intentional with the way you invest your energy or your tokens, so to speak.
I think even you just recently moved, right? I imagine that there was some stuff that you had in your life and in your place that didn't make the move with you. So it's like even them items, physical items, they take energy, right? By you having to move them out of the road or have to look at them or look around them, there's an element of energy that takes away from you. So it's like being able to have like your bare necessity of things. This is what I need to operate each day. This is what my family need to keep them safe and entertained, and then get rid of everything else. And even something as little as that will completely free up your mind.
Dude, I left parts of my identity back in the Gold Coast. Like I just went, okay, we're shifting, we're moving to this location geographically. I am transforming into this person psychologically. What needs to stay? All right, I cut that. That's dead weight. That needs to stay. Cut this. That's dead weight. That needs to stay. Something as simple as driving out of my driveway straight into traffic was part of an identity that I was holding. Cut that away. All of a sudden, I've got room to breathe here. You know, and it's just as simple as closing that loop, cutting that away. This is minimal effective dose. This is what's going to get maximum gains out of a micro dose. And I can now operate and move towards this thing. Sometimes it means starting again. I have quite literally started again in business about 8 weeks ago. I quite literally started again, something that I'd started back in 2018. But then went, you know what? I'm going to start again. This is just one project of my business. Like, I'm going to start again. And I go back now and I'm going through the process and I'm like, holy shit, Will, you've learned so much. I put it on Threads yesterday. It's like when you put yourself in context with your own life. Oh, dude.
Yeah. There's the cool thing about that, right? You don't have to do something as drastic as moving, because the sun rises and sets every day. Let that be the anchor, you know, like let the sunrise or the sunset be the anchor of like, that's who I was. I know we've spoke about this before. It's like, that's who I was. This is who I am. So it's like the cool thing about them tokens is that we get 20 more tomorrow, right? So but you just be mindful that, like sometimes too, it's like if you're going to keep on spending them in bad things, like when that sun sets, you decide, it's like, right, how am I going to spend these tomorrow? Am I still going to spend 5 on this thing? Or am I going to, maybe spend 1 on that because I'm not ready to let that go? I might spend 4 on other meaningful things. I think that's why like things like pornography and alcohol and like all these negative things, like they take away energy, or they take you out of a place of being present. Similar to what we're talking about at the start. It's like, it's impossible to have like a meaningful thought or something that will change the direction of your life in a positive way if you're fucking scrolling through fucking porn, or you're having conversations at the pub about fucking this or about that, or you're complaining or whinging to someone about someone. Like, that's not an environment that you're going to be able to acquire positive thoughts. It's just not. So it's like, like do less of that and do more of the things, that help you fucking project into a more meaningful way.
Better ROIs, man.
Yeah. I appreciate you. We've done it again.
I appreciate you. We have done it again. I actually filmed today on the camera, so I've got
nice,
I've got some footage. I'll transfer it across.
Yeah, amazing, man. Amazing. That'd be really cool. Well, it transferred across because I got mine going as well, and we'll, instead of doing the Zoom, my guys can just, they'll chip and chop, and it'll be a far better production.
Okay, we should get some like reels or shorts or something together, and we'll
for sure, man. The thumbnails are pretty mad on YouTube. I'll get the guys looking at some reels, especially when we get your content. It'd be mad, dude. It'd be really, really cool. And again, like you sort of touched on it before about action. It's like, even this whole thing existed off the back of like, us going back and forth, and we're like, fuck it, let's just record this, and I think we set it on a Tuesday and started it on a Wednesday, and it's just continued, right? It's just it's like, this is what we do. And it's like, if we have time throughout the month, we'll do this. It's like, no, on Wednesdays at 8:30, unless something like drastic out of our control pops up, which it does, we're going to fucking sit down to each other and just talk about whatever the fuck we talk about. And there's not too many people that I have in my life that I can sit down with no objection, with no agenda, and just have a conversation on this. So it's really, really cool.
Dude, it's like a mental workout for me. It's like
Yeah,
training my brain for the week. I love it.
yeah, legend. Right, a big dog. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
You too, brother man.
Bye.